So let me tell you, as a child, I was petrified of water.
Oh.
Your family is there, and there are these feeds which are planned every hour. Your arm count is tracked, whether you are lagging or you're, not unnecessarily speeding up also, because that is also pacing. You have to pace throughout the distance, right? So you have to be sure that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So all of this is being tracked.
Because your other two, people, your colleagues, they swam the exact same path and they did not get stuck in that.
So why
And you are of
me?
the same,
Yeah.
physical level and
Yes.
capacity and all of that.
Absolutely.
And I cannot even imagine what you must have been going through. And you were, what, 14 years old
Yeah,
at that
13.
time? 13. That is crazy.
I think more than confidence, it was more about being able to live up to expectations that are there.
Yeah, and not letting the pressure of those expectations
Get into you. Yeah,
impact your performance.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. I felt I didn't want anything to,
Do with
associated.
swimming.
I didn't want to be associated with it at all. So whenever somebody would bring it up, like, Kaka or Maushi, I used to be like, हाँ ठीक है, why are you even talking about it? So dismissive.
right.
I feel so bad about it now because I wear it with a badge of pride. Even my parents, everybody. I'd like to say, yes, I found the right balance and I have a magic trick up my sleeve, but I don't.
Yeah.
It is exhausting.
Right.
I have learned to, and my friends also understand, family understands. I've learned to draw those boundaries. And just an hour into swimming, they started very nicely. Everything was, they were cheering them on and all. 1 hour into the swim, suddenly the tides turned. There was a storm incoming. That was not anticipated. They had to abort their swim. The tiredness that I said, the tiredness comes at the end of the set also.
Yeah.
But knowing that I'm getting tired by something that I want and not, what somebody else is making me do.
True.
The whole joy of having that control over my time and being able to swim, I think. It's just being passionate about the sport.
Wow, wonderful. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kritva Unplugged, your space to understand about the stories from the field of sports, on and off the field. I am Tanshri. I'm a sports storyteller, and I'm the host for this channel. Our guest for today is somebody who started her journey at a very young age. She's also somebody who has made a wonderful comeback in her sport, which has been endurance swimming. Our guest for today is Gunjan Parulkar. She is someone who started swimming at the age of 10, swum longest of distances in Indian waters as well as international waters. And the kind of endurance, the kind of learnings that she got when in water is something that she applied to her adult life as a corporate professional, also as a mother. So jump right into this episode and watch these stories with her. So thank you so much, Gunjan, for joining. And I'm very interested to know a lot of your stories in swimming. So so coming directly into my first question, swimming is something that majority of us, do and learn when we were kids. But when you were 13 and 14, you were swimming distances which I don't think even adults do today also. So how is it that, swimming happened to you, and how did you get into endurance swimming?
Okay. Wonderful question to begin with.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, as a child, I was petrified of water.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have roots in Goa. So temple trip used to, call for a beach trip also sometimes.
Correct.
I have pictures that show that I'm clinging to my parents, instead of going into the beach. I was happy playing on the sand. I was petrified of water, nowhere near the ocean I wanted to go. Very people find it hard to believe when I tell them that. And contrary to what is the norm nowadays, I learned proper swimming after the age of 10. Not like at 1 years or 3 years or even 5 or 6 years.
Right. Okay.
I went to the swimming camps and all, not very successful there. Then, eventually after 10 and all, I started swimming. Now, what prompted me to start swimming? Again, let me tell you, I told you I'm petrified of water. Let me also tell you, there is no family background in sports or swimming or anything of that sort.
Wow. Okay.
So, born and brought up in Bombay, both parents were working. The only condition was that ekta ghari nahi rahaisa in the afternoons. So, there was a swimming pool nearby and my parents enrolled me into that. Every day I had a routine. Come home from school, take a quick break, nap, whatever, go to the swimming pool. Till the evening, till my parents picked me up. Okay. This went on for a year. One fine day, the coach over there, coach come lifeguard, who used to tell me what to do, what laps to swim and all that. He told me, Udya aila घेऊन ये. I'm like, okay, something has gone wrong. काय झालं, you know. And then when he met my mom, he's like, I think she's meant for endurance swimming, or even, you know, you should consider taking her to the advanced level. My mom is like, this was supposed to be just a hobby to keep her busy in the afternoons. I don't see any such, you know, career happening out of it.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, she's one of those kids who is here even before the swimming pool opens for the afternoon batch. Then she gets into the water, she swims diligently. She doesn't sit around on the pool or just splash in the water. She does what she's been told to.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this consistency for the entire year. So याच्यात काहीतरी आहे. So
Correct.
she has potential. You know, that is how I went into swimming in general. Then later on, endurance swimming and so on. So to answer your question, I mean, it was circumstantial more than planned.
Right. Oh.
But I'm so glad that even, you know, that situation
Happened.
arose because of which I enrolled into swimming and I did this.
Nice. So, can you actually just share the difference between swimming in a pool and doing endurance swimming? What exactly is the difference in that?
So there are two aspects of swimming. There is sprinting and there is long distance swimming. So sprinting is, of course, like a 50-meter pool is an Olympic size pool. So you swim 50 meters or 100 or 200. Then there are different strokes to swim. There is a freestyle, there is backstroke, butterfly and breaststroke. Then there is something called as individual medley, which is a combination of all four sports.
Okay.
So all of this is a test of your speed.
Got it.
Mostly because it is a race.
Right.
Whereas long distance swimming can be practiced in a pool, of course. It can be practiced in open waters also, but we have more access to pools than open waters. Is a test of endurance versus speed. It can be speed sometimes because there are ultra swimmers also who do the, you know, a combination of both. They swim long distances at a certain speed. But your long distance swimming is like a marathon. It is a race against yourself, basically. Of course, there is podiums and there are finishes and medals and everything at the end of the day. But you're not really racing. It is more about like the Ironman or the usual running marathons that we see.
True.
Right? I am able to complete this distance of so many kilometers. Having that reassurance and proving it to myself that I can do it is long distance swimming.
So does it need to have a different mindset? So why I'm asking you is because I was into skating and I was more into the sprinting kind of events, you know, the short distance, the burst of speed and things like that. And I see that as a change or, you know, something which I've carried also into my adulthood. So somewhere it needs to be a part of my personality. Do you think that, you know, doing endurance swimming or selecting endurance swimming rather than the sprinting was also something to do with the way you already think or your personality? And that is what took you into this?
Absolutely. So, sprinting is an entirely different ballgame,
Yeah.
right? Sprinting, like you're aware,
Yeah.
it needs a different level of practice. This was back in the 90s. The infrastructure that we had was not there probably. And endurance swimming seemed like a more, you know, interesting, or there was more curiosity about
Challenging
endurance
also.
swimming.
Yeah.
So it was more about why not try this? This looks like something different. You know, of course, sprinting and all of those club competition, district level, state level, kept on happening. That was there on the side. But this seemed like a more you know, different goal, something different that than what is being done otherwise.
Right. And when was it that you did your first open water swim?
So we had this event, some 9 or 10 of us from my swimming club decided to do this distance of Thane to Vashi. It is a creek. It is not exactly an ocean. So the water is not, there's no wave as such. Waves aren't there. It's relatively still. And we were like, I personally was very skeptical or not sure whether I'll be able to do it. But there were others also. So I felt like whatever experience everyone is having, I'm going to have, right? We completed that distance in around 3 hours, 19 minutes or something like that. It was a distance of 19 kilometers.
Wow.
The very first time. The Vashi's जो bridge है ना, that was also under construction then. So it was and no kayaks. There was a boat, of course.
Yeah.
The local fishermen will tell you which is the way to navigate and all that. They will accompany you. But this is at a time where there is no technology or GPS or anything to tell you, track the distance and all of that.
Wow.
That was very reassuring. The very fact that I was able to complete that distance. Otherwise, you go by bus from Thane to Vashi.
Absolutely.
And this is, you know, swimming that whole distance. And my uncle and aunt stay in Vashi. So it was a very common route for us going from Thane to Vashi by bus or on the two-wheeler. But swimming that distance was like a different experience altogether. And it felt like, okay, I could do this, you know. It was very, it was unbelievable, to be very honest.
Yeah.
And then that whole reassurance came. Okay, if this can be done, what next?
Correct.
you know.
So what was next? Because so you actually swam in the Arabian Sea and
Yeah.
36 kilometers.
Yes.
That was what the next this thing was. Can you share a little more about that?
Yeah, so this was kind of a, you know, deciding or a, you know, the path for the long distance swimming journey that I have was decided after this Thane to Vashi. It was like, okay, if she can do this, then let's try something else as well.
Right.
And we always knew that there is this route that Dharamtar to Gateway of India that is, you know, commonly swum by long distance swimmers. But again, it was we have to take into consideration the tides, the timings, the currents, and a lot of things.
Yeah.
There was a possibility of us having to swim in the dark as well. And that is exactly what happened. So out of that group of 9 people, 3 of us decided that on a certain day, let's do this, you know, this Dharamtar to Gateway of India. We got into the water at around maybe 1:32 a.m. at night. It was pitch dark everywhere, and in the water also cannot see anything. And yeah, it was meaning halfway through, I felt like I have to give up. I mean, this is something that, you know, I cannot just do. This is like, can't even think about it.
Correct,
If you know,
correct,
think you have to cross 36 kilometers. But then somewhere actually after half the distance went past, it felt like अर्ध तर केलेलं आहे, आता अर्धहून थोडंसं म्हणजे जास्त राहिलेलं आहे. Why give up now?
Yeah.
You know.
So that is what
Yeah, and we touched the Gateway of India at around 12 or 1 in the afternoon, a non-stop swimming for around 9 hours.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So so how does it happen? Like, does your body not, you know, feel sleepy or hungry, or because you're continuously swimming? So like normal things that you do in a 9-hour, you know, patch of a day.
Yeah.
How does your body respond in such a situation?
So there are feeds that happen.
Okay.
So you get feed every hour.
Okay.
There is a boat that is along with you.
Okay.
And there are people in the boat. There is a coach. There is the Nawadi of those, the GPS, you know, the person who is our GPS, he's there. Your family is there. And there are these feeds which are planned every hour. Your arm count is tracked, whether you are lagging or you're, you know, not unnecessarily speeding up also. Because that is also pacing, you have to pace throughout the distance, right? So you have to be sure that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So all of this is being tracked. There is an organization called the Maharashtra State Amateur Aquatic Association.
Okay.
That kind of acknowledges this distance swim.
Right.
So the certificate also comes from them. So there are people from that association also there observing whether there are any. So you cannot touch the boat. You cannot cling on to the boat while eating.
Right.
So the feed is kind of thrown. You eat it and then you throw the packet back.
Oh.
That was another circus you have to do there.
Yeah. Oh, that is actually, yeah, that's quite different.
So that happens.
So now, for any sport, you know, the sun is going to affect you, like when you are. So does that happen even in swimming, especially for endurance? Like, do you get tired because of the sun?
Very tired, yes.
So that is also why you decide
you have to stay
night.
hydrated and yes, it's very tiring to swim in the sun. So even Dharamtar, now that I think of it, the swim that was from midnight till the break of dawn was much more peaceful. Although it was scary because it was dark. You generally have a tendency to be scared of the dark.
Yeah.
But after the sun came up, it was like, आता कधी येणार आहे Gateway of India, you know? बस झालं. People in the boat could see the Gateway of India. They were telling me, you know, it's almost there, you're almost there. But the sun shining down on you, it is like horrible, especially towards the end, 10, 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Even though this was January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy.
One other thing that I would like to mention, and that happened with me. So we were 3 of us, like I mentioned, we were more or less the same pace, same speed.
Yeah.
They were probably a little bit ahead. Sometimes I was ahead. That kept happening. Each had their individual boats. Now, like I said, the family and all could see the skyline. They told me, "Zawad आल्या तर थोडंसंच राहिलंय." Maybe they were just encouraging me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I could see that there were these ships that were anchored. You know that you are near the coast now. This is not in the middle of the ocean where anywhere you see it is just water. तसं नव्हतं. कळायला लागलं होतं की you're closer to the boat. And then suddenly I'm realizing that there is this. So I didn't realize. The people in the boat told me there is this spot that you're kind of stuck at. Do you just want to turn behind and see what is there? And there was this huge ship the size of a skyscraper. Now imagine I am in the water. Only head is
my
up,
God.
right? And there was this huge ship, the whole arch of the ship like this right above me. Of course at a distance, not like this close.
Yeah.
And it was anchored there. And there was something about the anchor's magnetic field that was happening. It was doing its science. I don't know. I've tried to Google it even now.
Yeah.
But I was getting stuck in that area only. I was putting my strokes, but there was no displacement.
Yeah.
And I was fed up at one point in time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I've covered almost like 2/3 or even more than that, and there's
Yeah.
hardly anything to go. Why is this happening to me?
Correct.
That whole feeling of, the others have gone ahead, because I asked, obviously, what about the
Yeah.
other two? They're there. They've almost reached. They didn't get stuck here.
Huh.
For some reason, you did.
Hmm.
That whole feeling of why is this happening to
Huh.
me was so bad and so depressing. But somehow there were like people, of course, to encourage me, and somehow all the practice that I had put into this came handy, to be very honest. Now that I think back, I look back to this incident, I feel that, this is what I had practiced for. This uncertainty of the ocean and all was known. I mean, this was going to happen, right? This is something that, so what can I do about it now? Instead of just, thinking that, oh, this has happened to me, let me try another time, let me stop. I'm never going to get out of this current. I don't know what magic happened. I just kept doing my stroke one after the other in that same place. But somehow the displacement happened and I got out of that current.
Wow.
And in the next hour or so, I was at the Gateway of India.
Wow.
Barely 15 minutes after then. So it was just a matter of that
moment,
moment where it felt like this is the end and I have to give up. Maybe I'll try again, or this could have been the end of my swimming career also.
Oh.
Because when
you don't have answers, then basically that is even more.
And when it counts as disqualified, it becomes a stigma of sorts, right?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
त्या दोघांचं झालं पण माझं नाही झालं. Do I even want to do it? की जाऊ दे, हे नाही जमलं आपल्याला. This is the end of it.
Correct. Oh no, and the thing is that I am drawing parallels from this in real life so much that तो एक ऐसा quote आहे ना कि people do not realize how close they are to the end when they give up. So this is a very live, example of that. And so there is a very different kind of, I think, push that you need to give yourself, because your other two, people, your colleagues, they swam the exact same path and they did not get stuck in that. So and you are of the same, physical level and capacity and all of that.
Absolutely.
And I cannot even imagine what you must have been going through. And you were, what, 14 years old at that
13.
time? 13. That is crazy. Yeah, that is incredible.
Yes.
So after, swimming in the waters of India, you have also swum in international waters. So the English Channel and the Strait of Gibraltar.
Yeah.
So can you
Gibraltar,
yeah. So can you just share more about that?
Yeah, so once this Dharamtar to Gateway of India was done, it kind of gave us that whole, faith, or even a possibility of dreaming that we can do something outside also. What are our options? And this was in the time and era of no internet, okay? This is the early 90s or mid 90s. All the communication with these channel swimming associations and this Zurich Swimming Competition Association were through something called as fax.
Back in
those days,
I know.
right?
I've competed the same time, so yes, I'm aware.
So knowing what to do was a big challenge, or where to find the right information. But there was always somebody who has done it. So one reassuring feeling through this whole thing was that I'm not the first one to do it. Somebody has done it, and then it won't be that big of a deal
so
for me.
It is possible to do this.
It is possible to do it because there are people who are doing this. Every information that came our way, came in the mail, was new. Anything that Channel Swimming Association sent us was new information, right? But we made it happen. I mean, Zurich, English Channel, and the Strait of Gibraltar were like something that I'll remember for a lifetime. In fact, I keep talking about going back there and even, visiting those spots where I had practiced, getting acclimatized. So English Channel is almost 10, 12 degrees temperature. So you need to acclimatize. So there is a routine you have to follow to be able to swim in the channel. Yeah. One thing that happened with English Channel, so earlier we had decided that we'll go solo. There was again a group of 4-5 people. We'll do our solo swims based on the dates that we get. Sometimes it is, 2 swimmers together, aage piche, or sometimes it is just one person gets to go. Whatever it is that the Channel Swimming Association tells us. Tickets are booked, everything is done, we're practicing accordingly. Now, one fine day, they email us saying that they've introduced this rule that they will not let anybody below the age of 15 swim solo. Because the more this happens, the younger and younger kids get into it. They wanted to put an end to, the youngest child to swim the channel. That's fair enough.
Correct.
But for us, it was like we were devastated.
Yeah, because everything was planned.
As a swimmer, when you plan to do something solo, you set your goals on it. And suddenly you're being told that
You can't.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And what are our options now? Because like I said, accommodation was done, everything was in place. So what can we do now? That is when they gave us another option. They said that you can think of being since you all are like 4 or 5 people, putting together an English channel relay team. That is an option for you if you all want to, or you could cancel and we can refund, whatever it is. Now this to somebody might feel, okay, relay is better, no? You swim lesser distances and you have a group. It'll be more fun also. But you know what? On the contrary, it felt like, okay, what if anybody from the team, including me, I'm not able to perform? Then it is a failure for the entire team, no?
Wow.
6-7 people going there, spending time, energy, money. And what if, so in my solo, if I'm not able to swim, that failure is on me. I'm responsible for it. But as a team, think about that.
Correct.
And the practice and the entire mindset change that we have to go there as a team.
Yeah.
We literally had a couple of months to put together that team and, go there and swim that. But today, I'm here to tell you that we were the fastest and the youngest swimming team of that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And because that is again a very different kind of practice that you would also need to
Absolutely.
do as a team also.
Correct.
Na?
Yeah.
Because everybody is, so I've done athletics in school.
Yeah.
So because the positions where,
Yeah.
everybody is also going to be,
Yes.
that also needs to be,
Correct.
checked and trained and all of that also
And this
matters,
is more
especially
like
in relay.
this is more like a hourly thing, the English channel, or any long distance swimming.
Okay.
So if you have 6 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then maybe 1, 2 till the time whatever.
The distance gets
distances.
covered.
Luckily for us, it was 2 hours for everybody.
Nice.
That is how we did it.
Ah.
But again, the order was something that our coach had in mind, but he did not tell us who will go in first. He told us like a couple of days prior. Then there were many things like what decided this order of who will go first, who will go second, why so, and all, all of that he explained to us. But there were so many unknown factors, and the most important factor was I was relying on others for success and others were relying on me for success. And being okay with that was also a big deal. And this is what we do in corporate, right? One person, it's a team finally. One person goes wrong, the whole project is going to fall. But we all stick together and we show that it is okay. These things happen.
Correct. Ideally, people should stick together.
They do, in my experience, thankfully. We have, But understanding that as a 13 or 14-year-old was a big deal.
Correct. And how old were the other people in your
A
team?
similar age group, somewhere between 12 to 14 only.
So everybody was under 15 itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Some of them went back to do the English channel solo a couple of years later also.
Okay.
Because they still had it.
That was a goal that they wanted to.
That was a goal that they wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So, how did basically this help you to build the confidence in yourself as a person? Because earlier you were doing, solo, and then as a team, and then working together as a team. So, did that kind of affect the way that you think or your confidence levels and things like that? Like doing it from Indian waters to international waters, did that really change anything?
So yes, see, after doing this Thane to Vashi and Dharamtar to Gateway of India, that confidence about being able to complete the distance was there. But the uncertainty of the unknown, you don't know what's in store. So Lake Zurich, again, it's cold, it's a lake. You do not have the support of waves or the current in any way. The tide, there is no tide. It's still water, right?
True.
So there is more energy that you have to put into it. Never been to any international. So back then, traveling internationally for vacation sports was not common at all. And all of that was playing in my head. And back home, there is the school, there is your friends, your well-wishers who have put in so much faith in you to be able to do this. So
that was very
I think more than confidence, it was more about being able to live up to expectations that are there.
Yeah, and not letting the pressure of those expectations
get into you. Yeah,
impact your performance.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Oh, that is interesting. So now you have also won the Tenzing Norgay National Adventure Award, and that is one of the highest recognitions in adventure activities in India. So how did that happen for you? Can you share that?
Yeah, so after all of these things, we were planning of doing something I was in the 9th standard, I think, when all of these swimming achievements actually happened. And then came the 10th standard, so it was slightly little bit lesser practice and all, because typical middle class family, 10वी आहे,
हो, अभ्यास करत असतं.
अभ्यास सुद्धा कर, swimming तर चालूच आहे, but you can't let this completely go, right? So while that was happening, on the side, somebody just happened to tell my dad that, there is such an award. Do you want to consider even sending it? And my dad just filled out. It was a physical form, of course, print out and everything that was needed, letter of recommendations, all that. And we forgot about it also.
Oh.
This was like not the online time. So nowadays, this is online. There's a proper process. You get an email back that you have submitted. And there is a much standard way of doing things.
Correct.
This was sent it by post and it is done, and you forget about it. And then one fine day, I came back from school and there was somebody waiting downstairs. Like I said, I used to be alone at home in the afternoons. There was somebody waiting downstairs, and our society watchman uncle said, "Hey, तुमच्याकडे आलेत." I'm like, I don't know him. He'll have to wait till my mom comes. I'm like, that is what I've been told. I came home, I did my thing and all. In the evening, my mom comes up with this person. And then mom is like, he's brought the letter for you that announces that you've received the award, you've been selected.
Wow.
Did you not even ask? What is it? Who is it for? And all, because he didn't tell me he was here for me.
Correct.
So, then we opened that, and then it mentioned that I had to send across the date on which the award was happening, what all facilities, the lodging, the boarding was being provided by the government. I was supposed to send in the measurements of the blazer that you get, right, while receiving the award.
Yeah.
I mean, it was surreal. I mean, I could not believe this was happening to me. And even after that, I mean, I was probably 2 feet, I was walking 2 feet above the ground only after knowing that I have been recognized by the government of India for all of these achievements. I mean, somebody sitting out there actually making sense of all of this and translating into something that is so big.
Correct.
Back then, I think the cash amount that we got back then was 50,000 along with the trophy and the scroll of honor. It was a big deal back then.
Yeah. I can absolutely imagine that all of this while you were still in school, like essentially.
Yeah.
So that is also very interesting. So what is the kind of support, and especially even if, like you mentioned, you don't have a sporting background. So how is it that your parents, typical middle class, they say ki, 9वी 10वी is अभ्यासाचे वर्ष and things like that. So what is it that made them also, support you so much in your sporting career?
So I think one factor was that I always wanted to do it. Once I got into it, I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. Can I do it? But they never let me realize that, is there the money for it? All of those aspects, which now probably I'm thinking twice before signing up for a competition. I want to know where it is, because all of the other expenses and office work and all comes in play. But back then, that is something that they kept me away from entirely. And like you rightly mentioned, there was no sponsorship as such. Everything tapping into all of the resources that they have, tapping into family and friends. So my mom used to work for SBI. So her friends from State Bank of India. So earlier I had decided that I would go with the coach for all of these, events. So my parents had full faith in my coach and all. But these friends of my mom, they were like, why aren't you going? So she's like, no, she'll be fine. She's like, we are getting you a ticket. You are going, They pulled the money. They put it together. Right. Then there are all of these relatives, uncles, aunts who still, have so much pride when they talk about me. I meet them during these weddings and all. Because in some way they have contributed. Even if I don't know who has contributed, how much monetarily, but spreading a word about what I'm doing, getting the right people, getting the right connections. All this during the time when there was this STD and PCO,
Yeah, actually.
It's not like WhatsApp, okay, I sent you something, speak to him, he'll get you in touch with so-and-so. No, this was an entirely different world. So I'm very thankful for the support system that was created then. Because probably it then translated into a dream that all of them had. They had not seen such a thing only. They had not seen a girl wanting to do long distance swimming when ideally she should be studying for her 10th and 12th and all of that. Going outside the country, pursuing a sport that is completely unbeknownst to anyone what lies ahead, that they wanted that they were probably living their lives vicariously through me is what I want to believe
like
now.
It's working towards a cause,
common goal,
and I think somewhere, like you mentioned some time back, is that swimming did not happen to you at a very young age. It was at 10, and then within a few years you have achieved things that
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have
Yeah.
ever achieved. So you were like destined to do
Yes.
these things, and people
Thanks to,
is,
exactly.
so kainat
It takes a village.
comes over. So that is
True,
that
true,
feeling, you
true.
know. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. So now, in today's world, if endurance swimmers want to apply for this award, so how is it that they can go about with it?
So there are three categories of this award. There is water, land, and air. So if you have, I mean, like I mentioned, there is a portal. It's everything is there. There's a separate website only for it.
Okay.
It calls out all the details that you need to furnish and all of the criterias that you need to have completed to be able to apply even. Then it tells you, if you fulfill these criteria, then you may stand a chance. And what is the next step and all of that. The award amount, I think today is 15 lakhs because of course
Wow.
after so many years they've increased that. Yeah.
So apart from this particular award, for endurance swimmers, what are the different awards that people could apply for?
There is the Arjuna Award as well.
Yeah.
So this award is considered equivalent to Arjuna Award.
Wow.
But there is the Arjuna Award as well.
Yeah.
And I think Maharashtra government also gives one such award called the Khel Chhatrapati
Shivaji Award. Yeah.
For,
so all of it for endurance swimming also
Yes.
it is applicable.
Yes. It's
Oh,
just
that
like
is-
any other sport.
Yeah. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
So now, Gunjan, you've had a very interesting journey. Your sporting career. But what is more interesting is at what was almost the peak of your career is when you took a break. So what is it that led to that particular break?
Yeah. So probably two things. So one was, like I mentioned, 10th standard. And then fortunately or unfortunately, I got decent marks for 10th. And then I got into science stream. And then, the whole direction only pivoted. All this while I was still participating, not like I was completely out of swimming. I stopped swimming after 10th. It went on till like, I think first year of engineering or something. There were events where I could participate because there was infrastructure for that.
Right.
But it so happens after the age of 20 or something, generally the competitions and all around me started, sizzling, out, or there were no competitions for me to participate in.
True.
So, although there were long distance events that we could take into consideration, yes, but then I wasn't preparing for long distance anymore. I mean, for 36 or more kilometers.
Yeah.
There are these competitions that the Indian Navy conducts.
Okay.
Called Sankrok to Gateway of India. I used to participate in those. Then the smaller ones, like 5-6 kilometers, around 10 kilometers, I used to do that, even till 12th or first year. But after that, like I said, the whole opportunity was not there to present anywhere. And for doing the long reel, English Channel solo or any other thing, I was not in the frame of mind nor in the practice because studies also took over.
Correct.
So both of that kind of came together.
Right.
And then I reached a point where, that interest only went away. I lost interest in wanting to pursue this.
Correct.
Because engineering generally also took a lot of time.
Absolutely.
And other factor could also be, now that I think of it and I'm a mom myself, I think it could also be trying to fit in. Because having a sports career while doing your engineering and all would mean that I can't be, in that whole fun thing that is going on around in college, bunking together is happening.
Yeah.
Because this is also the years that you make those friendships or you navigate through different things in life, right? You kind of try to fit in a certain group all of that. So that also happened with me is what I feel.
Yeah.
I hope I was, meaning there is a sense of regret now. I wish I had that kind of strength to, think that all this can happen later also. I have my swimming to go back to. But for some reason at that point in time, I felt that, I want to do this. And like I said, it sizzled out.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I understand. So as an athlete, a very funny story I remember. I think post the 10th is when, all my other girlfriends, they started dressing up and wearing heels and things like that. And I was like, even I want a pair of heels.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, you have to decide whether you want a pair of heels or you want to compete, for skating. Because if something or the other happens, and you injure your feet or your ankle or whatever,
Absolutely.
so you have to choose your sport or dressing up. And I was like, okay, sport. So we don't even realize the smaller things that we kind of sacrifice, into it.
You were probably mature enough to understand when your mom told you this.
Yeah.
Not many people might be also, I feel. They might feel, okay, I want this right now. I want heels right now. I'm done with skating.
Correct.
So, and one more thing that also happened is the sponsorship aspect, like I said, if you have to do any long swim,
Yeah.
you need some support.
Correct.
And there comes a time where you can't really keep reaching out to people. I mean, one dream was there, you were able to achieve that, and now you have to figure out some way to fuel that dream.
True,
right?
true.
So somewhere it had to take a pause.
Correct,
That
correct.
pause became a really long hiatus, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that is what happened.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So, how did it feel, at that point of time, stepping away from something? Because, like, from a very young age, since you were into sports and you were into swimming, so that kind of becomes a part of your identity. So, how did you deal with that shift? Okay, one, of course, in your college days, you're growing up, you're trying to find your place, you're building your own individuality, and at the same time, you're kind of just shedding out something you've been your entire life. So, how did it feel?
So for me, like you said, the peak was those 3 to 4 years,
Yeah.
from 10 to 14 or 15, right?
yeah.
So it hadn't been really my entire life, because I had co-swimmers who had started really early at 5, 6, whatever. So they were like maybe in sprinting as well as long distance swimming, or just in sprinting. So I didn't relate to it as much as probably they did. But how did it feel? I felt very regretful that I was not able to carry that, tag with me. At one point, I remember, and I don't know, this is probably the teenage rebellion or whatever. I felt I didn't want anything to,
Do with
associated.
swimming.
I didn't want to be associated with it at all. So whenever somebody would bring it up, like, Kaka or Maushi, I used to be like, हाँ ठीक है, why are you even talking about it? It's so dismissive.
Right.
I feel so bad about it now, because I wear it with a badge of pride. Even my parents, everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it just went through that transition in life, and I think that was needed, because now I've come back with such a big, energy and josh or whatever.
Exactly.
That this is something that I will continue for a lifetime till my body lets me.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So, that is actually what my next question is. Ki it's not very easy for athletes who have achieved what you did to kind of take a break and then want to come back. So, what is it that made you want to come back, and how did that journey happen for you?
Oh, I love telling this story.
Yeah.
So, like I said, engineering happened. Then I got a cushy job in an IT company.
Yeah.
Life was good. Got married, had a child, right? This is like a span of 14, 15 years maybe, or at least 10, 12 years if I have to. And then, and I had moved to Pune also by then. I was otherwise in Bombay all this while. So Pune, whoever I was meeting, I wasn't introducing myself as, oh, I'm a swimmer, right? So not many people knew about this whole aspect also, but some did. And this was at a time when my son was around maybe 6 to 8 months. Somebody I knew, who knew rather that I was into swimming, sent me a flyer of a local swimming competition at Tirak Tank. The club competition, not state level, national level, nothing. He's like, you had mentioned you are into swimming, why don't you participate? And I was on just after my maternity leave or something like that. And I looked at it and I'm like, wow, I really want to participate. This sounds like fun. It's just one Sunday.
Correct.
I can probably just put that much time into, into my schedule. But no practice whatsoever. Right? That feeling of, what if I'm not able to swim that 100 meters also, or even that 50 meters? Or I know I will swim because I've swum long distances, but what if I'm gasping for breath? People out there probably know me, probably don't know me, but what about myself? It will be so shameful that I'm not able to, finish this distance. Forget medal, not even talking about, I wanted the medal, of course. I wanted to participate and win to show that I still have it in me. And this, like I said, at a time, most of us moms who have been moms go through this, identity crisis of sorts. What am I even doing with myself? Is this my life? I used to be a career woman. I used to be a sports person, and now I can't even do this. I really wanted to do it. So I kept ignoring his message till, one fine day I just mentioned this at the dining table. So there's this competition coming up. And at that time, my mother had moved in with me to, help me with my child. And both my husband and my mother are looking at me and are like, since when are you asking for permission? And I'm like, yes, thank you. I really wanted to do this. I took part in that competition for some 4 or 5 events. I packed the whole house. Like, he was just on solids, my son. Small dabbas with all of his food, tens of diapers, everything I packed. I took everybody along at the pool, all of his toys and all. I participated. I won in some of the events. I didn't win in some of the events. Some 4 or 5 events I'd signed up for, because that was, I just wanted to prove it to myself.
Correct. Correct.
की काय होतं करून बघूया.
Oh.
Let's take that leap of faith. And those medals I think are like very special to me today.
Right.
Because that saw me coming back. म्हणजे त्याच्यानंतर मग I'm like की ठीक आहे आता मी हे करू शकली तर मेंबरशिप घेऊया, मला स्विमिंग करायचंय.
Oh.
You know, the small steps, not like त्याच्यानंतर इमिडिएटली मी काय केलं, अगेन एखाद वर्ष ह्याच्यातच गेलं असेल
True.
की काय करायचं माहित नाही, जेव्हा वेळ मिळतो तेव्हा थोडंसं स्विमिंग करून घे, बट दॅट वॉज अ गुड स्टार्ट.
Yeah, a good way to come back. So in those 10-12 years, were you swimming at all or पूर्ण बंद झालं होतं?
I was
तसं?
swimming like maybe
A
once in
little
6
bit.
months, little bit,
हा.
not like
हां, की खूप
properly,
जास्त हे
passionately,
नव्हतं.
nothing.
हां. So now, एक तर comeback stories, and being successful in a comeback is very rare. And you have achieved something very, very different even after coming back. So you represented India at the Ocean Man World Champions and you came 15th in 92 countries. That is one insane, and congratulations for
Thank
that.
you so much. Yeah.
Can you just explain how that entire experience happened?
Yeah. So this was again, like I said, after I've come back also. Now coming back to swimming now has kind of taught me what my limits are and how much I can achieve. I just know how much to spread and not overdo and bite more than I can chew off. So this was a 2-kilometer swimming competition that I participated in. I did not get a podium finish, but the experience, like you asked, it was amazing. The vibe, my goodness, an international level competition being hosted in a place like Dubai, where it is like people from all the countries come together, and it was an eye opener that if you want to, and in this competition there are more older people, so to say, or seniors, so to say, than young ones. Of course, there is a Ocean Kids category also, but Ocean Man is meant for people who want to pursue long distance swimming after a certain age also, so 20-30 plus only. It was so fascinating to see people of all ages, all different backgrounds, coming from different countries. There were also specially challenged people participating. My goodness, it was like a different vibe altogether. It felt so good. Being there, experiencing the whole thing. My son also participated in the Ocean Kids category. So it was like, cherry on top that he also completed the distance successfully. So it was wonderful being there. I mean, unmatched energy and unmatched vibe of the whole competition.
So do you feel a difference in the way that your body responds when you swim now as against when you were swimming? Of course, there is a lot more, our bodies are a lot better in our younger days, but did you have any kind of challenges, or you noticed something which is different swimming now than you were when you were swimming earlier?
Yeah, so physically many things. I had a small shoulder injury. I had a small knee injury. These things keep happening. Wouldn't even call an injury. It just pains, or it, after a certain distance, it starts throbbing.
Right.
And that's something I've accepted. But like I said, now I know my limits. So earlier, probably I was more reckless. कि 36 kilometers हो जाएगा, because my body didn't know those limits only. Like you mentioned, I was young. I could do anything. Now I'm more cautious about, more cognizant rather, about how much I want to do and how I want to plan about it also. So in end of March, last Sunday of March, I'm participating in a competition in Goa. It's a 5 kilometer. I'm doing 5 kilometer after a really long time.
Wow,
and I'm practicing towards it. I don't know how I will do. I mean, whether I will complete it or not. And that is something that we'll find out. Time will tell. But the whole idea of me taking that cognizant decision that now I'm ready to do a 5 kilometers and this is the time I want to achieve for those 5 kilometers and I'm working towards it. It is more like an organized or a well-planned thing that I'm doing for myself.
Correct.
So that is very reassuring. And like I said, when I was young, probably I didn't put so much thought to it. Now everything that I do has to be, thoughtfully planned because I have other responsibilities also. Thoughtfully planned, ensuring that everything else also runs smoothly in the background while I am swimming out there or even practicing for this swim. All of that has to be, factored in. So point is that it is more of a mental game now, or rather a combination of mental and physical than just back then. I didn't have to worry about anything. I just had to jump into the water when my coach told me, get, swim as per the current and finish. I didn't have to worry about what's happening in the background, whether my food is packed. Everything was taken care of.
All the entire nutrition part.
I'm the adult here.
I know. I can so understand that. So, but in terms of exercising or preparing for the competitions also now.
Hmm.
So, are there any exercises that you do outside of the water? Like, do you do strength training or
Yes.
yoga or things like that
Yes,
as well?
yes.
So,
I
what?
do. I hit the gym twice
Huh.
a week at least. I try to.
Huh.
Yeah. And my gym
So-
workouts are also such that they aid or they support my swim.
Hmm.
It's not like an entirely, it has to be connected.
Doesn't,
Yes. Yeah.
it's not just about the
Yeah.
weightlifting
So my
part
personal
of it.
trainer
it's about-
knows exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
And my swimming coach knows exactly what he's getting done from me, the personal trainer. So
So tell me now, in any sport, there is also soreness of your body, your muscles, and things like that. So how important or like is it to get these regular massages done, or the rehabilitation of your body,
Yeah.
even if there are no aches and pains per se?
Yeah.
How important is it for people to get this done also actively?
yeah, there are a lot of therapies also that have come up now. The cup therapy, the I don't know
the
the
cupping and
exact
all of that.
cupping
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all.
yeah.
I don't know the exact terminology. Yes, but recovery is important. I think as a woman and as somebody who has other responsibilities also, I should admit that I kind of ignore that. But I try not to. I mean, whenever I have a gym session,
Correct.
and I do not have time to take any break or anything, on the go I'm consuming the protein that is needed. I'll take a nap in the cab or something when I'm traveling. Try to do that, but it's a hustle, to be very honest, but it is needed. I mean, to answer your question, yes, recovery is something that one should focus on. I may or may not be able to do that at this point in time.
Yeah, I understand.
But
Now, because I think that would also help you to be better in the other aspects of your life as well. Because how does it affect you? Because see, training, it's physically exhausting as well. So does that also affect your time with your family or your time with your friends, or do you feel exhausted in workspace or things like that, or have you managed to find that right balance between both?
I'd like to say yes, I found the right balance and I have a magic trick up my sleeve, but I don't.
Yeah.
It is exhausting.
Right.
I have learned to, and my friends also understand, family understands. I've learned to draw those boundaries. That as swimming ahe, tar as swimming ahe.
Correct.
And of course, if somebody in the family is ill or not around, I need to be there. I'll sacrifice swimming. It's not, like I said, it's not my only career.
Correct.
Right? It's a passion that I'm doing on the side. But I've made that, I've made sure that people around me understand. So even Friday evenings, many a times, a lot of friends want to catch up and all. But Saturday mornings, I have to do some swimming because weekend is the time that
You get to
I get to do all of that. So I have to say no. I started to say no. They understand. It's okay. They move their plans around or they continue. I cannot be part of everything. So prioritizing has become one major, aspect of my life now.
Yeah. So that is actually what my next question is. Ki, you are, a corporate professional, you're a mother, and you're also an endurance swimmer. So for a lot of women who have probably been into sports, and today they are unable to find time even to exercise. So can you give any tips or any suggestions, from your personal experience on how they could probably make time for themselves and for their sport?
Yeah. So I generally feel, and this is not something that you're hearing for the first time. Women generally tend to think that everything is their responsibility. They want to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. For example, you're hosting a party at home. You want to do everything right from the cleaning, cooking, serving, everything. It doesn't have to be that way. Even in your daily life, I think it's very important to figure out what you're good at or what you want to do. Rest, everything can be outsourced or something will take care of. Right. Setting those expectations right from the start. Okay, my house can be messy at times, and it is like that. You can ignore that room. And just enjoy the rest of the house. Or whatever it is. Everything does not have to be perfect, and everything does not have to be your responsibility. And women who really have been pursuing sports and want to make a comeback, I think the only advice I have for them, take that leap of faith. What can go wrong? And nowadays there is an opportunity, the masters competitions that are there in every sports nowadays. Probably it wasn't there back in the 90s.
True.
So somebody who was pursuing a sport then had to end it at 25 or 30 at the most and had to retire.
True.
Now there are opportunities everywhere, or if not, create that opportunity. Find a group who does a sport and maybe have a mini competition in your own club for it. I think it's just a matter of getting out of that whole thing of some sort of an excuse that you hold at the back of your mind that, okay, without me this won't happen. So because of which I cannot. So up to a certain point, yes, we do have responsibilities. But as your children grow up, as they become more independent, your responsibilities also reduce. I think some women are not able to come out of it. I think that is something that is very important to do. Knowing that, this is only limiting yourself.
Correct.
And maybe you have another 30, 40 years to live the life that you want to live.
Absolutely.
Right? I have cousins and I have friends who've never worked in their life, but now their kids are out in college, they've gone into corporate at the age of 50 or 45.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that opportunity is there now. I mean, just do it.
True. Very true.
Find your own identity. If you really want to do it, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's very interesting. So now, your the journey that you've had as a sports person, as a swimmer, how has that impacted you in your corporate life? So, do you think differently? Do you work with people differently? We spoke some time back about teamwork and why it is important, and how teams respond. Or what I've also realized is people who have been into sports for a long period of time are also natural leaders.
Yes.
So has that ever happened to you? Like
natural leaders, they have stronger work ethics. I've come to realize that sports plays a big role in everything that you do, because you have seen all aspects. You've seen failure, you've seen success, you've seen somewhere in between also neither failure nor success. All of that. So nothing is new to you is what I feel.
Right.
And even in corporate, like I said, there are so many decisions you have to take. For example, you plan a project in a certain way. Like I lead a team of project managers, right? You plan a project in a certain way and some unknown something happens in a project and it is gone kaput.
Correct.
But you have to pick up the things again from some place, pivoting your whole direction to something new. Okay, this happened with my project, but I still have to complete it. Now what do I have in my hand to be able to do that? All of that thinking, I think, is something to do with the experience that you've had before.
Do you also bounce back better, like
yes.
from failures? Because I think inspiring a group of people also, that is what I've realized. Sports people.
So this, like I was saying, the pivoting thing is so crucial. Being flexible with anything that happens, accepting it and moving on. The resilience that you said, like bouncing back after a major failure. It's something that sports teaches you. And I like the parallels that I can draw with sports and leadership and vice versa also. Something that I've learned in corporate, I apply it in my sports. If this could happen to such a big company, for me it is nothing in my sports. If this happens, one event gone wrong, it's okay. I can come back from it.
Correct.
I had gone to Goa once for a competition. I went alone. I did not tell anybody. This was during that comeback phase. I didn't want to tell anybody.
Right.
I went there. My uncle and aunt live in Goa. I didn't tell them. I went there and there was a cyclone. The event was not going to happen. And I was like, what a disaster, man. Meaning I've planned everything around it. Now I have to wait another year or so to participate in that same event. Right? There was a cyclone that was going to happen. So they shut everything and I came back. I mean, it was such a disappointment because I had full hopes pinned that this was my first long distance event. After that, I went again the next year. But that 1 year gap, I was like, what if I would have, just finished that and I would have known I can do long distance even now, getting into the ocean after so many years and all of that. These things happen in life, I mean.
And you actually like just take it in the stride. Na,
Yeah.
I think, and what I've understood also from your conversation is that it's interesting to see how we detach ourselves from the outcome of the that particular race or that particular event. Like, yes, you put in your 100%, but sometimes
there are some factors that are out of your control. So one thing, the Strait of Gibraltar. There were 4 of us.
Right.
24th August was the date I think I swam along with another co-swimmer. And 25th August was for the other 2 swimmers. Okay. So we did our swim successfully in 5 hours, 7 minutes or something like that. And the next day, my co-swimmer was feeling a little tired. My coach said that, why don't you come with the other 2? You just be on the raft with me. Good experience for you and for them also too. Motivational that Gunjan has come along. Rather than just, resting. Do you want to come? I said, yeah, fine, let's go. And just an hour into swimming, they started very nicely. Everything was, they were cheering them on and all. 1 hour into the swim, suddenly the tides turned. There was a storm incoming. That was not anticipated. They had to abort their swim. Imagine being in the boat. I was feeling, in a way, I was naturally feeling that at least it wasn't me, but I was feeling so bad for them. They have put in the same efforts as me. They are almost, meaning they've started the swim, they're somewhere midway, and this is happening. They have to abort the Red Cross boat that was there with us in Spain. They wouldn't let this continue. obviously their whole,
Yeah.
dreams gone down the drain. No, it felt so bad.
Yeah.
We were not able to celebrate our victory also, obviously, because we went there as a team.
Of course, of
And
course.
that has stayed. Meaning one day the conditions are excellent. Our conditions were excellent,
Yeah.
5 hours, 7 minutes is
Yeah.
good
Mm.
for Gibraltar. I mean, there have been lesser timings.
Yeah.
But
this
whatever
is
we were
great.
expecting was around 5 hours.
Right.
And it was good. And for them, 0. I mean, disqualified.
Yeah.
Nothing cannot be done.
Yeah. And
Come
again,
back.
through no fault of theirs.
No,
It's
exactly.
the external
conditions. You cannot
Yeah.
do anything about it.
Yeah. Wow. Did
So
they
all of
actually
these-
go back later
yes,
on?
one
and
of them went.
Yeah. Yeah.
She also did the English Channel solo. I think she also did the English Channel double, or she attempted it. Like England to France and France to England.
Wow. Wow.
So I mean, see the comeback,
yeah,
the
exactly,
resilience of okay, this
exactly.
happened to me, accepting it and going back to it.
Correct.
That's
That is
something,
actually
right?
so important, matlab,
Yeah.
and especially in today's world, because even the smallest of things that happen, people take it so personally, and I think people so easily get into this victim mindset,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah,
I think even if you don't achieve big things in
Yeah.
sports, even as an adult, get into sports because
Yeah.
it will just help you look at the world in a very different way.
Correct. I mean, in meetings, you will be talked down to.
Yeah.
You will be, told that your work is not good enough.
Correct.
These
correct.
are like really
or somebody will take credit
insignificant-
for your work
Yeah.
and things like that, So
These are insignificant things if you look at the bigger picture. I mean, not
Correct,
sounding too philosophical,
no,
but this is
it's
nothing
true. Yeah.
compared to what is happening to other people, right?
Very true. Very true. So, do you want your son to also, attempt long distance swimming or get
Oh,
into
I keep
endurance
joking
swimming?
with him about
Yeah.
it all the time.
Yeah.
You just tell me when you want to do Gibraltar, everything is ready. I'll
Huh.
fit in,
Huh.
He is into swimming,
Right.
but he's more into badminton and chess.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That is what he likes a little more.
Yeah, being a sports person who followed their own, different route, long distance swimming at that point in time.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what that was.
Yeah.
And now I'm coming back to it. I want to give him the space, meaning
To
I'm
choose
very
his-
cognizant about
yeah.
what he wants to do.
Correct.
If he says
absolutely.
he wants to do badminton, take it to next level, I'm
Yeah.
happy to support him. If he
Yeah.
wants to quit it also, it's fine. I mean,
Correct,
it's
correct.
not the end of the world.
True, true.
That's what, meaning whenever my family meets him, they used to be, even now after they meet him after a really long time, "मग तू कधी करणार आईसारखं करणार आहे का स्विमिंग शिकलायस आता काय?" That was a natural question.
Correct.
Earlier he used to get very upset about
Yeah.
it, that some Ajji Azoba are coming and asking me these questions,
True.
But now he's come to terms with it, and it's just fine. Like I tell him the same thing. My parents weren't swimmers. Their parents weren't swimmers. So it's not necessary that you should be a swimmer or even a sports person.
Correct.
You're
You
just
choose your path.
enough for whatever the
Yeah.
way you are. It's great.
Correct. That is actually so very important. So now, for parents who want or who see the spark, one is how do they identify if their kids are swimmers? How can the parents identify that they could become endurance swimmers? And if they do, what is an advice that you could give to the sports parents if they want to get their kids into endurance swimming?
So one advice would be that find a good coach and let the coach identify whether your child is into it.
Okay.
I think many parents, so in a way I'm happy that my son is not pursuing swimming, because I would have made his life miserable.
Yeah.
Ha stroke barobar nahi hai tuza.
True.
He is into badminton and chess,
Yeah.
both the sports I know nothing of.
Correct.
If he tells me, "Mama, this is how a smash is done, this is how a smash is done."
Correct.
Whatever you tell me is correct. In fact, I don't even go and sit there for the entire 2.5 hours that he coaches, that he trains, right? I've left it to the coach to decide whenever, and if he has to shine, he will shine.
Correct.
Because I wasn't meant to shine. I didn't have any, talent, innate talent. I was not a gifted swimmer, like I told you. But I had my, peak, and I had my time and my glory. So if he has to, it's the coach's responsibility. If I
And trust
feel
the
that,
coach.
trust the coach. Yes. So that is very important.
Right.
And once you get into endurance swimming, I think today it's a different ballgame altogether. There is so much opportunity. There is so much, access to information, to all of these competitions. One advice to parents would be just support your child. Don't give feedback. Don't give feedback. They're already getting it from the coach. They're getting it when they're in the sport. They're probably losing to somebody they don't want to lose to. That feedback is taken.
Correct.
I mean, I thought I will defeat her, but I did not.
Correct.
Okay, I should do better next time.
Correct.
Kids nowadays are much more mature than what we were, I feel.
I know.
Yeah.
Very true.
Do
And
not
very
be that parent
aware.
where you, keep telling them, "Oh, you should have done this." I mean, I'm saying this very nicely. Now, I'm probably also telling my son sometimes that, you should have done better. But consciously, I try not to. And I would advise that to parents. Because it helped me also for my parents to not know anything about endurance.
Yeah. And then whatever small bits of information that they, get, and then trying to tell that to
Yeah.
the child,
Yeah.
instead of that, trusting the coach. I think that is a
Exactly,
very
yeah.
important aspect.
My dad played TT in his college or something.
Right.
And now sometimes when I hold the TT bat also, he tends to tell me, okay, do this. Because it is natural.
Yeah.
Because he has some little bit more knowledge than me.
Correct,
So I'm glad that I didn't pursue TT.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
honestly. So, so my last question for this particular segment is: so, what are some of the qualities that a swimmer needs to have if they want to become a successful endurance swimmer?
I think one would be persistence. Just, continue to do what you're doing. Put your head down and put one stroke after the other. Because that is what you practiced for. Just, continue doing that. That perseverance of doing the same thing over and over again is one thing. Other thing I feel, I don't know, this is something that should come naturally to all sports, not just endurance, is the integrity. I mean, doing the right thing when no one is watching you. Okay, your coach tells me that. So we used to have these nighttime sessions, okay, of to practice swimming in the dark because there was no other way to practice it. We used to have these evening 7 to Sakari 7 wale sessions or something like that, with all the lights of the swimming pool closed. आणि आम्हाला सांगितलेलं असायचं की एवढे लॅप्स करा हे तास झालं की आम्हाला सांगा सो फर्स्ट फ्यू आवर्स आर पेरेंट्स यूज टू सिट ऑन दोज डायव्हिंग ब्लॉक्स एनकरेजिंग अस रात्रभर थोडी बसणार दे यूज टू गो अँड कॅम्प इन दॅट सिक्युरिटी गार्डचं रूम कारण थंडी वगैरे पण वॉट एव्हर आम्ही स्विमिंग करायचो वी हॅड अ टेम्पटेशन ऑफ जस्ट टाइमपास करूया थांबूया कोणी बघत नाहीये ते गेले आतमध्ये बट देन वन ऑफ अस यूज टू बी लाईक नको इफ यू स्टॉप नाव देन जिब्राल्टर होणार नाही आपलं ट्रू सपोर्टिंग each other, telling each other that this is not the right thing, having the right value system is very important, be it any sport.
Very true, very true. No, and I think having the right kind of people that push you to do the right thing also is so important.
Because this was a time where there were no CCTV cameras, no watches to tell how many laps I have done. The coach has told you to do it, is up to you whether you want to do it or not. And knowing that if I don't do it right here, what is the point of telling people that I'm going to Zurich to do something?
Very true.
I mean, what if I fail there? Because, knowing that is very important.
Oh, I have a very interesting story in this. So, we used to skate. The road practice that we used to do was at ARAI. And so, there is a turn in the road. At one point, there's a turn in the road. So, it was marked up to what point we are supposed to turn, at what point we were supposed to turn. So there used to be people who used to turn earlier, but there was this one group of us at the club which were like, if sir has told us to turn here, this is where we have to turn. Even if he cannot see us, we have to do that.
Yes.
And that has stuck with us. And then at a later stage, because it's maybe just 10 meters, but those 10 meters of 10 laps, and then multiples of that. So, and then when you've done the right thing, even in any competition, in any sprinting, you have that energy.
Yes.
Because there everybody is going to be there, that is an entire spectacle. So there you can't cheat.
And knowing that you did the right thing by yourself.
Correct.
It's so nice.
It is absolutely nice.
Otherwise you live with the fact that, I cheated. I got this, but I cheated. I mean, I reached 10 seconds before her, but I know that I've not done the right thing. Living with that, I don't want that.
Absolutely. And that is so funny, I remember right now, is that early in the morning, 6 o'clock or 6:30, the signals are on. And there's nobody on the road. You can actually just go. But somehow, because of that kind of a training, in childhood, I can't break signals anymore. Like, I'm like, let's just not. We'll wait. So, I think that sports actually translates.
People are conformist. They love following rules.
Yeah. And they feel weird breaking them. So, that is actually very interesting. So, yes, Gunjan, so that actually brings us to the end of our first segment. So, yes, Gunjan, that actually now brings us to our second segment. Here we do something which is called as the failure feeling. I love the fact that we are aligning on so many things, shared experiences, different sports, but shared experiences. In the failure feeling, like we spoke about, is sports people have the ability to bounce back much better, much quicker, much more efficiently. So can you share an example, during your sporting days when you felt a certain level of failure and how you kind of overcame that?
Yeah, lovely question. And I keep talking about the fear of failure that everybody has and how we can overcome it. about anything, any small thing, any new step that you're taking.
Yeah.
But this reminds me of an incident or rather a phase in my life where there were these competitions, the club competitions or the district, state level and all that we used to participate along with, our long distance swimming.
Right.
There were these couple of friends of mine only in the pool or in the same age group who used to participate with me as well. And these are people who had started swimming way earlier than me. So I joined late. I was, like I told you, right? After 10, 12, I was into this competitive swimming.
Right.
So I always had it in my head that they're better than me, and they were also to some extent. It was hardly some few seconds here and there that I was lagging behind or what. So every swimming competition, I used to kind of accept the fact that if she is there in the same event, say for example, she's also participated in 100 meters breaststroke with me, then I'm at least aiming for the silver. Or if both of them are there, then I'm aiming for the bronze, because I had accepted somewhere deep down की त्या better आहेत आणि त्या तसंच असणार आहे. There is nothing I can do. Of course, I used to try my level best.
Yeah.
But somewhere at the back of the mind ते असायचंच की मग ते I don't know, now that I think of it, maybe त्याच्यामुळे थोडंसं मी मागेच असायची आधीपासून. थोडं दचकत किंवा बिचकतच कम्प्लीट करायचे का काय, आय डोंट नो. ओके, दिस वॉज अ ट्रेंड. And then one of the competitions was this competition organized by the Indian Navy called during their Navy Week celebrations called Sankrok to Gateway of India.
Okay.
It's a distance of 5 kilometers. They take you into the water in a boat and then you have to jump off and swim to the Gateway of India. There are these buoys marked along the way to show you the path. Now this is in the ocean. I just see heads and hands wherever I'm looking around, because there are many people.
Correct.
All across the state, all across the nation, people come to participate in this. I don't know who's next to me, whether that person is even a girl or what age group, nothing I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I completed that and I realized these two were yet to finish.
Wow.
So you're understanding it is a mindset thing. When I could see them in a pool, I can see that she is in this lane and the other one is in that lane, and they are like little bit leading. I have to swim harder to be able to. But I know that, they are only going to finish. That microsecond or second, they're going to win. Not me. It is not going to be me. But when I didn't see them, when I didn't know how I was doing compared to somebody, I was way ahead of them. Few minutes early at least I reached.
Wow.
So this kind of, reinforced the belief that when you don't know what is happening around you, you stop holding yourself back.
This is such a wonderful insight. Like sometimes you are your own biggest competition.
Exactly. Holding back also. I'm holding myself back.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually very interesting. So thank you.
And I couldn't believe it. I mean, at the end of it, I was like, sir, मी आधी आले? मी ह्यांच्या आधी आले?
And by a couple of minutes. म्हणजे, so that is
Yeah.
also, so your capabilities were actually so much more.
I was questioning my own capabilities.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. Which now actually brings us to our third segment. So this is something that we call as Community Asks. So we're building a Kritva community online, offline.
Okay.
So apart from just the questions which I had for you or your journey, there are questions that people have shared, a little more to understand about your journey as well as about endurance swimming. So I would like to ask you those. So the first one in that is, what kind of mindset does one need to build when you know you're going to be swimming for hours?
This is like not something new that you're probably hearing, but there is no way out. That is the mindset. I mean, you have planned for it, you have practiced for it. There is no reason to think that, I want to give up. It's just like you're appearing for an exam, the exam starts, you have to sit for those 60 minutes there and write whatever it is that you know. You're in for the long game, now complete it. That is the only mindset that is needed. And trust the process. Practice has happened. You yourself willingly signed up for something like this.
Wow.
Right? So there is nothing that is going to go wrong. It's okay.
I love that. Trust the process, basically. Wow, wonderful. How can you stay calm when you cannot see what is beneath you in open water?
I think that's a good thing that I cannot see anything beneath me. But so staying calm. So long distance swimming, I say very often it is more of a mental game than a physical game. Sometimes your mind takes you to dark places, especially when you're swimming alone. You're not chit-chatting with somebody. You don't have company. There is a boat that is keeping you company. It is a few meters away from you.
Yeah.
But you're all by yourself.
Correct.
So it is, I think, during these times when small stories or the books that you've read, these come handy, at least for me.
Wow. Oh.
I try to go back to some movie probably that I've watched and try to, think of what happened after this and what was that dialogue and then this happened and in that story, and by the end of it, 1 hour is done also.
Wow. Oh,
You
that
know?
is actually very
Yeah,
interesting.
So all of these other things that you do on the side,
Yeah.
pick up a book, watch a nice movie, all of these things also help.
Wow.
Because that keeps you calm during all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And because you cannot see anything.
Correct.
Sometimes in some oceans you do see, but not like till the deep, like hardly anything. In Malvan and all also we could see jellyfish. So the visibility is poor. But that's a good thing because sometimes not knowing
is better
than knowing.
100%. 100%. Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
Has your body ever felt like giving up in the middle of a long swim?
Oh yes, all the time. I think any distance I go through this whole phase of, almost when I start out, the pace is really good. Halfway through, I always feel, what am I doing with my life? Why do I sign up for these things? Why do I torture myself?
Right.
And after the half thing, it is like, oh, you've done half. So that giving up point comes somewhere around half the distance.
Right.
That doubt starts creeping in. You think that, काय करायचं का जमेल का? Is my shoulder paining? Is my knee paining? And now, especially at this age, all of that starts. And once that more than half is done, I start feeling more confident. This happens in my daily practice also, I've realized. If I'm given 20 sets to do, at around 8 or 9, I'm like, आज फक्त 10च करूया, आज खूप काम है, there is a call at home I have to attend.
Yeah.
All excuses my mind starts
coming up.
making.
True.
But once I finish the 10th set or the 11th set, I'm like, 11 केला आता 9 पटकन होतील.
That is so true.
That always happens with me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And this is my pattern only to overcome. I wait for the half distance and then I know I'll be able to do the rest.
I have realized this now when I do weightlifting and things like that. There are certain days or certain sets where you reach like 7 and you suddenly feel extremely tired.
Yeah.
So
Nice
at such times, then I do ulta. Then I do reverse counting.
3, 2, 1, correct.
And you start from 15 only because you know this set is going to be heavy, for you.
Okay.
So you start from 15 and you count down from there.
Yeah.
So what would have probably ended a set would have ended at 8 or 10. You tend to do more sets just because you're counting down.
Yeah.
And so that's...
So the Zurich Lake competition, I just remembered, there was this halfway mark and they had told that if you're not able to complete this in 6 hours, they'll pull you out. Because eventually after half a distance, तुमची energy कमी होते, तुम्ही एवढं swim केलं. 6 का 6.5 काहीतरी एक mark होता. And my mom was there in the boat alongside. And in my head, I was like, as per my calculation, 5.5 hours decent है. And करायचंय पुढे. And they had this along some arch वगैरह ऐसा टाकला होता. Something came and I'm like, hey, काय? What is happening? I stopped for a feed or something. She's like, you just passed the halfway mark. like किती तास झाले? So it was like some 4 hours च्या पण आधी.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when you don't know only, when you have a clock in front of you, just like I said about the sets.
Yeah.
When I'm doing 20, I'm supposed to do 20. I know अरे अर्धा पाऊण तास झाला तर जाऊया. When I know that clock, it's ticking, it becomes very boring. Here I didn't know the time, nothing.
Correct.
And I had completed at a very decent time, and then, you know, rest I finished in 10.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. Nice. So, what is one small habit that made the biggest difference in your endurance journey?
So there is this philosophy, I keep talking about it a lot in office also, in corporate also. Eat the frog.
Okay.
Yeah. What it essentially means is do the most difficult thing that you feel there is to do in the morning or the first thing, or overcome that first thing.
Correct.
Eat the frog at breakfast or something like that. It's a management philosophy. I think that has worked for me. On some days there are so many things lined up. I have, you know, something at home, something at school, something at office, and then swimming. So whatever is priority or the most difficult thing that I feel, there is an email that needs to be sent and a lot of thought that needs to be put in that email before I send it.
Yeah.
If sending that email is going to make me feel better about rest of the 5 things, then I log in early, maybe do that, get that out of the way, and then I feel अच्छा आता छोटा-छोटा गोष्टी राहिल्या.
Oh,
So
nice.
I think that has worked for me very well.
So, okay, this is an interesting question. They say that I love to swim, but I'm afraid of deep waters. How can I overcome that fear? Because I really want to try.
Oh, nice. So you love to swim, which means you know to swim.
Hmm.
Half the battle is won.
Hmm.
All you have to do is, try maybe first the deep end of the swimming pool with necessary precautions. Then go on to an event. Maybe there is a group that swims at Kasarsai Dam. If I'm assuming this is Pune, but in any city you'll find that there is a group that swims at the Harshi Lake every Sunday. Find these people. I'm not saying go cross the lake the first time. Just go into the lake and see how it feels and come back.
Correct.
Do all of this. It's just, like buying a new car or something. You know to drive, you've driven before. But with the new car, you feel like scratch nahi ala paije,
True.
Let me not take it out of the building only. But someday you will have to, because you want, the basics. You know to drive, you know how a car functions.
Yeah.
It is just a matter of getting used to, that atmosphere that, okay, someday I have to take it out, and then it'll be easy on me.
Yeah, wonderful. And the last question we have is, after all of these years, what still excites you about getting into the water?
I don't know. It's just, I'm a happy soul when it comes to swimming, I start, even if I swim at the end of the day, the whole, the tiredness or fatigue goes away, and I'm literally smiling when I'm swimming. I can see that I'm smiling, literally. It gives me immense joy. I don't know what it is. I'm not able to put a finger on it. Yeah, I think the whole aspect of being able to do this, being able to do what I want to, even the tiredness that I said, the tiredness comes at the end of the set also.
Yeah.
But knowing that I'm getting tired by something that I want and not, what somebody else is making me do.
True.
The whole joy of having that control over my time and being able to swim, I think it's just being passionate about the sport.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Gunjan,
Thank you.
for joining us and giving us such a lot of insights and amazing achievements. Matlab,
Thank you
in
so
endurance.
much. Thanks for having me.
That is wonderful.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, like Gunjan just mentioned, there is a lot of joy that you feel when you participate in a sport that you love. If you have also experienced that with regards to any sport that you have participated in, put the name of the sport in the comments below. Also, if anything that Gunjan has shared here today has impressed you, or you want to ask any more questions to her, put those in the comments below as well, and Gunjan will answer those for us.
Certainly.
Thank you so very much for joining us and watching this episode. This also brings us to the end of our first season of Kritva Unplugged. Thank you so very much for joining, and I hope to see you in season 2.